Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out, www.thebestdamnpodcast.tv. Follow me Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from. Please make sure to hit that like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, share this link, help me to get it out there, and subscribe, follow, click that notification bell, that way you can get notified in the future whenever we go live. And keep in mind, guys, we are completely viewer powered. That means we're fully funded and supported by you, the listener and the viewer. If you'd like to donate and support to the channel, you can do so with the links in the description below: PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App, and Facebook Messenger Pay. And everybody who does join the Best Damn Fam and support can get access to our weekly private shows over on Discord, as well as access to our entire uncensored playlist with over 100 videos that have never been dropped on the public platforms, because basically they would get us in trouble if we did. Also access to extended tarot readings and so much more. And if you have donated, supported, or you like to book a personal tarot reading, text 513-393-2396 or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. All the links are in the description below. Thank you, everybody, for a pretty good one for you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is going to be one of those two-part episodes. There are some things kind of in the news floating around I wanted to talk about. What we would call, I guess, the important things going on within our world. We're going to touch base on a lot of military drills that are taking place right now that could have a lot to do with the astrological events. Jupiter going retrograde, us being in Leo season, a lot of confidence is in the air, especially, when it comes to people's egos and the way that they're feeling. And, that Jupiter retrograde, before the effects really start to take hold, I imagine a lot of people, including countries geopolitically, will be making some bold moves. So I guess we'll see. But with Leo season in the house, it's, a lot of positivity, time in the sun. We got a lot of cool things going on, but a lot of things that are not so cool. And we're going to talk about our origins from the stars tonight as well. You're going to see how this kind of warlike mentality that we have as a species, this goes all the way back, homie, like back to the beginning. And we're going to look at that tonight. We're going to look at some ancient cultures, some lost cultures and civilizations. We're going to look at different types of astrology and kind of how they did their business back in the day, as well as the things that are taking place right now. So big ups and big thanks to everybody in the chat. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up. Please make sure to share this link. Please comment and consider supporting the channel. And thank you guys for joining me. I'm always excited every time I get to do a show. It's an honor and a privilege. Truly, this is, like I said, this is my church, man. This is how I get my relaxation and my meditation on. And this is also how I keep up on what's going on. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd probably be super lazy, honestly. But gang, that's right. Yeah, gang. I do appreciate all of you guys for sure, man. So let me see what we got in the chat here. And we're going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking tonight. Well, I guess I'm going to do a lot of talking. Not going to do a lot of talking beforehand. Looks like we have Christopher Wright, Graceful Heart, Leslie Mattis, Higher Mind, 1111, Up Yours, 73. My chat's weird. I can't really see on the screen all of the names, so maybe I need to get a new chat. Bruh, what's up? Yeah, it's been a while. But you know what? I'm really excited to kind of be back in the saddle and doing shows every night again, and, really trying to expand, not just my point of view and the way that I look at things, but expand the different topics that we talk about on this channel. And, really take our focus off of, the negative events so much. I know we still got to talk about these things and prophecy and end times and all of that is a major part of what people are interested in. But I think it's way more important to learn about self-discovery, about self-growth, conscious evolution, spiritual evolution, and just, focus on how humanity can learn from all of these cycles and really take ourselves to a new, higher level, right? Like, what would be the point of all of these karmic lessons that we learn here as humans on planet Earth? What would be the point of every time that these cycles come to some catastrophic end if, not one single group of human beings actually got the message, actually got the picture, and seen that it was all of the division and the labels and the conflict that we create amongst ourselves that kind of keeps us from ever evolving, expanding, or growing beyond, this cyclical trap that we find ourselves in. And I think astrology, even though it is a method of, kind of keeping track of time or the cycles or orbits and seasons, as well as a way to kind of discover the algorithm of who we are or potentially who we can be, it's also there to show us the archetypical nature of not only just the stars and their influence on us. We have a major celestial influence on humanity, but the archetypical nature that's within each and every one of us. And we see that played out over and over again in the Bible with the 12 disciples. I've brought this up before. We live in this dualistic reality. Everything's, a duality. Black and white, left and right, up and down, wrong and right, red and blue, solar, lunar, so on and so forth. And there's an inverse to everything. So, anytime, even when world events look like shit and it looks like devastation or it looks really negative, you have to understand that even that has an inverse and there truly is a bright side. Like, so even when we're at our worst and we're looking down the barrel of the gun, so to speak, closing into the final destination for this cycle, there is an extremely huge bright side because of the extreme darkness and chaos that's going on right now. That means there's extreme potential for growth and extreme potential for a positive outcome for those who choose to embrace it and those who choose to pursue the path of self-mastery and to pursue the path of service to others. And that's just my opinion. So, hey, you can take it or leave it. That's my 2 cents. 12 disciples are the 12 cranial nerves. And you know what? And see, that's what I love about having the chat on so I can see the comments, man, because you guys got so much cool input. I do have the most intelligent audience on YouTube, hands down, as well as with the highest spiritual aptitude, and I stand by that statement. Over the years, I believe, we've proven that on this channel, that there's a lot of people that watch that really know what they're talking about. But yeah, you're right. That's because we are a fragment or a fractal, a piece, if you will, of the Creator. And we're pure consciousness, and consciousness is spirit, and everything is created out of spirit. So we see the reflection of self within every bit of our paradigm, right? We have to understand that the word matrix in Hebrew is womb, right? It's a womb. We are in the womb of time, if you will. And within this creation, we see this, the 12 archetypes, the 12 months of the year, 12 cranial nerves. Well, these 12 archetypes are 12 ego personas as well. That's why you'll see like Peter, who was brave, right? He was confident. He cut the Roman soldier's ear off for Jesus. Yet at the same time, the inverse, because the paradoxical reality we live in, he was a coward, right? He denied Christ 3 times before the rooster crowed, right? So, I mean, you have that doubting Thomas is also Thomas the twin. There's your paradox. There's your dualistic nature right there. And we see this reflected over and over and over. That's why you can take things like in scripture is the best way to do it, because the base word being script, it is the script or the code of the matrix, right? Of the program that we live in. And a lot of people believe that we live in some type of computer simulation, and I don't think they're too far off, right? Because when you take Yahweh and you take those letters and take them back to, I believe it's Arabic or Aramaic, it becomes, instead of YHWH, it's AUAI, which is gold in artificial intelligence. And we think about, in the beginning was the Word, and when the Word was with God. The Word is a form of scripting, right? And then the base word of scripture is script. I mean, everything just kind of points to this, especially looking how everything is energetic frequency or magnetism, and magnetic signatures are symbols, right? And symbols are representations of energetic frequency. Energetic frequency can become exemplified through archetypes, and archetypes are part of this sphere or zodiacal wheel of time that we rotate on in orbit around the central sun or the central star or God, or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to get into the precession of the equinoxes as well, which is that 1 degree drag between light and sound, in my opinion, and the great age, right? The great day, the explanation of how these ages actually come to be. And we're going to look at different beliefs and different schools of thought pertaining to different cultures throughout time for that as well. So let's go ahead and get into this. It says, I didn't want to. My psychiatrist acted like she wouldn't see me if I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. We're also going to talk about a couple of prophecies too. Okay, well, maybe I'm just, ear hustling in the chat here. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Why the UN chief says, we are one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation. And look, I'm not trying to hit you with the fear porn or the doom and gloom one bit. But I couldn't, in all good conscience, do this video without bringing up a few of these articles first. Because I am seeing some very, very sus behavior, let's just put it that way, from the militaries of the world. Everybody's running Israel right now, and there's simulations of like invasions and all kinds of fucked up scenarios. So we need to pay attention. We know that the climate is off the hook. I'm also going to show you just how close we are to magnetic reversal, and just how much that magnetic shift has already taken place. And remember, the electromagnetic field not only is a big part when this reversal takes place in a shift in consciousness, but it's what prevents cosmic rays and radiation from entering through. And our sun is, it's having extreme activity right now, which is giving off, blowing off big amounts of plasma, creating extreme amounts of radiation, which, this radiation provides for genetic mutation, right? It mutates DNA. So this is the process of transfiguration and natural ascension. Okay? The magnetic field, if you will, is the veil. Right? The veil of forgetfulness. It kind of keeps us separated from all of that cosmic information that's out there that we would probably call the Akashic Record, which is also our DNA. Our DNA also contains that Akashic Record, and I believe is activated through cosmic rays and radiation as well. And these cyclical, catastrophic endings provide for or stimulate our evolution consciously and as a species. And we are at, what looks to be the final cycle and getting ready to go to an entirely new phase and new stage in human evolution. So, and I think over the years, it's a shame that I've had to take down so many of my videos. I mean, thousands of them. If you guys could have seen the entire body of work from 2015 to now, you would see that we've explained it all in every which way, shape, form, and facet possible. Just how it works, and we've learned together, but it's all really starting to come together as far as, the micro, macro, and how it all begins like on a cellular level, and that the same thing that takes place in the heavens above is the same thing that's taking place down here on earth, as is the same thing that's taking place within our bodies. It's the same thing that's taking place on a collective and an individual level, because of the reflection of spirit, and spirit, or, kind of being the ether that permeates all things and gives manifestation to all things, right? And consciousness being the key, because all things emanate from thought. So let's go ahead and get into this. Why the UN chief says we are one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation. The world is now enduring greater stress than any time in recent decades, according to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And while humanity has so far avoided, quote, the suicidal mistake of nuclear conflict, he said tensions are hitting new highs at a time when many lessons of the past seem forgotten. And that reminds me of, I think it was Madonna, at like one of those music awards, when she did, the super occultish presentation that had the fire and the pirates and shit, right before, COVID hit and all of that. And she said, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And it's probably a quote from somebody else that's probably way smarter than her. But that quote stuck with me. It's like, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Not everybody's coming into the future. And that's what I think awakening, DNA activation, and ascension is truly about. It's like, who remembers the lessons, who doesn't? Who is learning from these cycles and who isn't? Who's healing their karma, their trauma, and who's not? Who's straightening out their thoughts and who won't? Who's working through their emotions and who can't? Basically, who's willing to put in the work and put in the time and put in the energy, put in the effort, put in the love for spiritual development. To go to a higher plane of existence, to earn the right to exist with the gods, and dine with the gods in the heavens above and the courts above, right? Who's willing to do that? Truly. And people wonder why there is this stigma to those that are illuminated, and they're called elites. Well, let me tell you something. It is an elitist thing to be able to spiritually advance yourself into those courts of heaven, if you will. Right? It is an elitist concept to be able to do that, because not everybody's willing to do it, and it isn't something that's handed to you. You have to be willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears and make the sacrifices necessary to join the gods, right? To rightfully take your sovereign place that the Creator has, given all of us as a birthright. But in order to have great power comes great responsibility and great accountability. So, the ones that you hear those in their ivory towers called the useless eaters and shit like that, I believe every human life. But at the same time, the same token, I believe we all, whether our opportunities vary in degree by our environment, we are a product of our environment to some extent. Everyone that truly wants enlightenment and everybody that truly wants to grow, they have the opportunity if that's truly what they seek, and they're truly willing to put their heart towards that and their intention towards that. So most people are just okay with watching the Roman circus and, being entertained by television and having small talk about the weather. And, most people are okay with having mediocre partnerships that are built on convenience or, playing around in a dating pool, having casual, meaningless sex with people you really have no connection with, that type of shit, those type of lives. Most people are okay with ascribing value to their life based upon the type of car they drive or the amount of money their home costs them. Most people are cool with that, right? Most people are cool with saying, hey, whatever I do for my career is what makes me, and that's my value. That's my gift to the world. When truly these things, our husband, our wife, our families, our possessions, cars, clothes, money, the amount of money we make, the careers we choose, the things that we are able or not able to do, don't define us, but are supposed to be a reflection of who we truly are, right? And our lives, each one of us, if we truly embrace our individuality and who we are, will become an art form in itself. And life, to me, is an art. Being alive and living is an art form. How many people truly live? Most people live to die. They either live stuck in the past, bound by, memories, failures, regrets, woulda, shoulda, couldas, all of that shit, okay? Traumas that never let go. Or they live in the future, the fact that tomorrow never comes. So they're always saving for a rainy day, or, I'll drink this bottle of wine when there's a time to celebrate type shit. Well, the time is now. You're alive now. All you truly have is the now. That's all we're promised. That's all we have. That's all we're given as human beings. Why we don't make the most of it? I don't know. Why we are so unwilling and afraid to embrace our individuality and who we are as people, I can't answer that either. I know that there is a fear of not being accepted that makes people follow the herd, that makes people want to conform. There is a certain intensity to the indoctrination of our schooling system. Once you go out into the work field and, all of that, society as a whole, those expectations and obligations that mold people, in a way that kind of is built on guilt and shame if they don't conform. So they feel like failures if they're not keeping up with the Joneses. They feel like they're inadequate if they don't have their checklist of life that they're supposed to have by whatever age they are. But true freedom is truly being free. It's liberty. It's being the king of your own kingdom. It's learning how to manifest your own creation, living in your own world. And to hell with whoever doesn't want to live in it with you, Those who love you and support you will support whatever you do, as long as you're you. Those who are truly on your side will be loyal to you and faithful to you and good to you because they are truly on your side, and those who aren't will not. And I think that's one of the hardest lessons we have all had to face moving forward in our growth and in our ascension process, is letting go of the things, the people, and the places that no longer serve us. It's not always easy. We're built, we're made on binary code, believe it or not. We are an organic form of artificial intelligence. Ones and zeros. This place is more like a computer program than what anyone could imagine, truthfully. And it's fight or flight, that we're built on. So fear rules the day in this reality. That's why every mystery, every form of enlightenment, every initiation, everything that ever serves any good to upgrade and elevate any person in any way, shape, or form has to do with overcoming themselves and facing their fears. Fear is what drives the media. Fear is what drives the laws and institutions. And fear is what drives people to the grave, to old age, and to unfulfilled lives. Fear is the enemy. And love is the enemy of fear. Because when love is perfected, fear is overcome. There's nothing you won't do for love. There's nothing you can't get through for love. Love gives hope. And that's what we all need a little bit more of, I think, right now. More than ever. We need to know that it's okay to be different. That it's okay to question the narrative, the status quo, the norm. That it's okay to stand on your own too. Everybody wants you to try to belong or conform and fit in some type of, group or, label or identity, whatever. It's okay to stand alone and to stand out. That's what a leader actually does. They don't follow the crowd, the group. They set trends. They don't follow them. A real leader has the strength and the boldness to stand apart from all the sheep. To stand up for what's right, for what they believe in, for what they know. And it takes a lot to be in tune with our feelings and in tune with our spirit and just in tune with our true purpose. It takes a lot for that to happen in a person. There's a lot you got to overcome and a lot you got to get through just to even get close to that. But if we don't, then we're not in alignment. And if we're not in alignment, then we're not pursuing the path of our highest good and we're not chasing our destiny. And we all have a destiny. And we all have a fate, too, where we can take a left or a right and decide how we get to that destiny. It's truly up to us. We are the masters of our own reality, the masters of our own creation. But we have to understand there are laws and rules that spirit works accordingly to. And as long as we work within those bounds, we can make anything happen for us. And we can change our world. We can bring heaven to earth. Flat out. No question, no doubt about that. And I think that at least I've tried to on this channel to show you through every avenue that all of these things I speak about, all these theories I talk about, they work together. They go hand in hand. They prove, each other. And instead of trying to think of like a million different complicated explanations, to put value to your life, understand that there's really only one and it explains everything. It's that it's about you. You're the reason you're here. It's your life. It's your purpose. It's your happiness. It's your story. It's the simplest explanation of all, but it's the one that makes the most sense. So, enough of that. I'm trying to... I get on the soapbox sometimes, but I just really want people to know that there's something to be passionate about despite what's going on right now. And that when we hold back, we only hold ourselves back. So don't hold back your love. Don't hold back your charity. Don't hold back your kindness. Don't hold back, anything. I can tell you from experience that in my life, we've all been hurt, we've all been screwed over, we've all had things happen to us, and don't allow the negative experience to prevent you from opening up to something positive in the future. Sow good seeds now. And while everyone else at the end of the cycle is doing whatever they got to do because they have no harvest, you'll be harvesting beautiful things and beautiful relationships and beautiful feelings with beautiful people. The choice really is, it's up to you. Today, humanity is just one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation, the world's top diplomat said at a UN conference on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons in New York City. It's not the first time such a dire warning has been issued about the catastrophic risks posed by nuclear weapons. And the brief look at why the global politics are in dire shape. Climate crisis, stark inequalities, conflicts, human rights violations, and the personal and economic devastation caused by the pandemic have put our world under greater stress than it has faced in our lifetimes. The UN leaders also highlighted Russia's invasion of Ukraine, saying we are facing a time of nuclear danger not seen since the height of the Cold War. So there you have it, right from the UN, the world's top diplomat. But it gets better. U.S. to enrage Kim Jong-un with assassination dry run. I seen this and I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me, man? An assassination dry run? Wait till you see the other drills too. We're going to jump into this. All brought on by the enemy. Yeah, hey, this propaganda today is all brought to you by, you know, like that's what I feel like I need to preface these parts of the shows with now. Today's propaganda is brought to you by the government. Big Brother is watching you, and he loves you. Uncle Sam said, what's up? I don't even think it's the United States government anymore, guys. It's like more than one government. You know, even the U.S. enemies have a big part to play in our mainstream media and the BS that we're fed on a daily basis. You can guarantee that. Guarantee that. So, AI has made all that possible. So, for the first time in years, joint exercises between the U.S. and South Korea this month will culminate in a trial run of decapitating the North Korean leadership. Say what? Say what? And remember, it was like the head of the CIA, this is back in 2012, I think, that exposed that North Korea's nuclear satellites basically come from, it's a particular angle. I want to say it's like southeast somewhere around Florida, but this, you know, around the Bermuda Triangle or something, within the atmosphere that actually is like the U.S.'s one blind spot as far as satellites go. And that their satellite, their nuclear satellite, passes over the United States twice a day, every day. And that if they were to actually launch on our country, that they could hit us 2 to 3 times before we were able to even stop the satellite, let alone retaliate. That it would take once for it to go over, fire, the second time for it to go over, fire again for us to start tracking it, and then by the third time it came back and, you know, maybe fired again for us to take it down. So, you know, keep that in mind. And remember, everybody was making fun of Little Rocket Man when all of his missile tests were blowing up off the launch pad. Well, guys, whenever you're trying to let off an EMP, that's what you do. You blow up a nuclear weapon in the low atmosphere, right? It creates electromagnetic pulse. And if you see how active the sun is right now, how thin the magnetic field is and the flux of the magnetic field is right now, then it's going to make a lot of sense, because we know that WW3 appears to be a lot of theater. Okay? So maybe something else is going on. I don't know. I'm just saying. In Seoul, the U.S. and South Korea are about to play war games again. This time they're going for the jugular. For their first joint military exercise in 5 years, the Americans and South Koreans will polish up what military people here call, quote, the kill chain, in which they target the North missile and nuclear sites, plus bases need to supply, refuel, and rearm them. And remember, there is a 10-lane highway that goes into North Korea from China. Okay? Sources familiar with the U.S.-South Korea military alliance say the games will climax in a decapitation exercise where they play at invading the heart of the North Korean command structure and taking out the leader, Kim Jong-un. Although it's only a game, he's sure to take it personally, as he did in September 2017 when he ordered the North's sixth and most recent nuclear test after that year's war games. Psychological and spiritual warfare, absolutely. Absolutely, this is psychological warfare. You're absolutely right. All of the media is psychological warfare now. And remember, in 2012, the repealing of the Smith-Mundt Act is what allowed state-run propaganda to be used domestically on United States citizens in the same brand of propaganda or misinformation, disinformation that is used on our foreign enemies. So keep that in mind, guys. So just saying, that's always something to kind of think of, right? Keeping it moving. China to use. Oh, we'll go to there in a second. We'll do that in a second. Let's finish up what we're actually going after first. After NASA, Russian cyber attack launched on Spanish research center. You're going to see so much about cyber attacks. And remember, I think it was 2019, Trump had the executive order to harden the grid against electromagnetic pulse. It was 2016 letter from the federal ICE agent who committed suicide in New York City on Pier 40 that talked about there would be a cyber attack that would take down the American power grid and be blamed on Russia or China. And this would be part of the terminally ill economy here in the United States and the collapse of the United States of America. And they would round up dissidents and all of that. Maybe I'll pull up the letter before we finish tonight's show. But I've done it in a lot of videos, man. If you haven't seen my work like that, I strongly advise you to join the Best Damn Fam today, and you can get access to that playlist. It's worth it because, we have over 100 videos and each of those shows are 2, 3, 4 hours long and they go into deep dives on these things. And you're not going to find that information nowhere else. Most of the stuff that we talk about or talked about in those videos has been wiped from the internet, including the story I just referenced. If you look at Snopes, they say that it's not even true, but I can still find the archives. I use it all the time. Spain's leading scientific research body was targeted by a cyber attack that national authorities suspect had its origin in Russia, the country's science ministry said on Tuesday. Spain's leading scientific research body was targeted by a cyber attack that national authorities suspect had its origin in Russia, the country's science ministry said Tuesday. Spain's science ministry said the Spanish National Research Council was targeted by the ransomware attack July 16th to 17th, and Biden and Harris just actually did an executive order on taking the electrical grid here in America to 100% renewable energy. You better watch your shit, fam, because I told you when we had the 160,000 gallons of oil spill off the coast of California and they brought in the Coast Guard, with that naval-style blockade, really circumventing posse comitatus, just like they did with the 30,000 National Guard troops in D.C., which now has come to light that Trump and all of his administration had all their files and phones wiped after that day, strangely enough. I told you I believed it was a transference of power to the UN. And that was the actual fall of the United States, at least symbolically. You can, and remember, we even had the memos from the FBI talking about the hacking. We've had quite a few things, man. So, this would be the time to watch the grid failures in Texas. And they're now even, dropping hints everywhere about power outages and grid failures. So this could be the time that they actually choose to go dark, okay? And there was, in 2018, a 10-day DOD nationwide blackout drill, if you guys also remember, where the United States military practiced the scenario of the entire nation, being in the dark, grid down. Remember, there are three major electrical power grids that supply the entirety of the 48 contiguous states. And that if you were to knock out one of those grids, you could knock out 75% of the power to the entire country. That there was a study in 2015 and 2017 DoD reports that actually showed the numbers on what would happen without power in the U.S. and that 90% of the American population would be dead within the first year if the power grid was to go down. You guys will also remember, what was the name of the site? They've now changed it. It was Deagle.com that showed the 2025 population projections with 87% of the population decrease in the United States out of nowhere. Right. Also, all the other population decreases were all NATO countries as well, but the largest was the United States. It was a 87% population decrease by 2024. So, go figure, right? Just so happens to line straight up with that number I just mentioned. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm just here for the ride, dudes. Here we go. Here, let me pull this up now. Let's see if I can get this to pull up. And hopefully everything's still looking good online. Everybody make sure to hit that thumbs up, that like for me. Okay, looks like we're still good. I don't know why I'm not getting this over here. Here we go. East Indonesia holds joint military drills amid China's concerns. Watch all these drills. The drills take place annually, but this year's are the largest ever amid rising tensions with China in the region. More than 5,000 soldiers from Indonesia, the United States, and other countries have begun joint combat exercises at the Indonesian island of Sumatra, signaling stronger ties amid growing maritime activity by China in the Indo-Pacific region. The annual military training known as Garuda Shield has been taking place since 2009, but this year sees the participation of several other countries, including Australia and Japan, making it the largest ever. The joint exercises, which began on Wednesday, are designed to strengthen interoperability, capability, trust, and cooperation in support of a free, open Indo-Pacific. The U.S. Embassy in Jakarta said in a statement, quote, "It's a symbol of the U.S.-Indonesia bond and growing relationship between land forces in this consequential region," Charles Flynn, Commanding General, U.S. Army Pacific, said in a statement. Because land forces are that glue that binds the region's security architecture together. Wow. The exercise encompasses Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine drills will last until August 14th. And there's one more drill for you. And watch, there's even more, man. Here we go with more of the hacking, too. FEMA. And we love FEMA, do we not? FEMA. Every time I see FEMA, I just think Walmart, right? Walmart, and we wonder why Walmart's doing so well, right? With Janet Napolitano and the, emergency crisis response system and all that shit. Their government contracts with the Waltons and the Waltons taking on the Colorado River, trying to preserve the freshwater supply, which is now getting fucked up in its freshwater supply. How convenient. FEMA warns emergency alert systems could be hacked to transmit fake messages unless software is updated. You guys may also remember in October of 2017, Trump created the Presidential Emergency Alert System. And it's funny that they're bringing this up, guys, because that emergency alert system would be due to something like an attack or, power down, anything like that. So here we go, right? Vulnerabilities in software that TV and radio networks around the country use to transmit emergency alerts could allow a hacker to broadcast the messages over the alert system, a Federal Emergency Management Agency official tells CNN. Cybersecurity researcher provided FEMA with a compelling evidence to suggest certain unpatched and unsecured EAS emergency alert system devices are indeed vulnerable. The Chief Engineer and Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, the national system and state and local officials use to send urgent alerts about natural disasters or child abductions. The agency urged this week for operators of devices to update their software to address the issue, saying that false alerts could in theory be issued over TV, radio, and cable networks. The advisory did not say that alerts sent over text messages were affected. There's no evidence that malicious hackers have exploited the vulnerabilities. And look, and now they're dropping the warning about emergency alert systems on top of all of these military drills. Okay? Just pointing that out there, guys. On top of all of these rumors about Russian hacking, just pointing it out there, and wait till you see more about the grids. This is why I had to kind of show this stuff first. It's that important. I couldn't, in all good conscience, let it ride. And remember, they were pinging everybody's phones back in October of 2017 when they did that emergency alert system too. That was a big thing, like where they were able to actually track the data packages through people's cellular devices. If you guys will remember that also. China's French ambassador says Taiwanese people would be re-educated. This is fucked up, son. Check it out, though. Taiwanese Defense Ministry claims cyber attacks. The Taiwan Defense Ministry says it had its website suffered cyber attacks and went offline temporarily on Thursday, adding it's working closely with other authorities to enhance cybersecurity as tensions with China rise. ASEAN warns of consequences of volatility. Southeast Asia's regional bloc, ASEAN, has warned that an increase in international and regional volatility could lead to miscalculation, serious confrontation, open conflicts, and unpredictable consequences among major powers. The Association of Southwest Asian Nations made the remarks in a statement from foreign ministers after the bloc's chair, Cambodia, had called on all sides to de-escalate tensions over Taiwan. The statement was released as China's foreign minister Wang Yi met with his ASEAN counterparts in Phnom Penh. Now think about this. They have China doing drills in Taiwan right now, circling Taiwan right now. So this is another big military drill that's taking place. Chinese ambassador to France saying Taiwan would be subjected to re-education after annexation, i.e. the Xinjiang treatment. How about that? Re-education. What does that sound like? Yeah, man. Red Dawn. The red wave. And here we go. China FM calls Pelosi visit complete farce. Vows to punish those who offend China. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan a complete farce. Quote, the irreversible historical trend of Taiwan's return to the motherland cannot be changed. Those who offend China will certainly be punished, he said. And remember, Trump is the one who violated the one China policy that has stood ever since the Nixon administration. I told you guys that was controlled opposition and a half. Nobody believed me when I said it, man. Everybody, wanted to point to, and he played really good to the blue-collar people, but you have to understand that blue-collar people don't make political decisions. They don't, most of the people that were voting for him don't understand, international politics and, how things work geopolitically. They don't understand, economically how shit works. They don't understand any of it, really. They just, they bought into the slogans of America first, basically. That nationalism is real easy to sell, is what I'm saying. So most of the people who went along with that, he's pro-Christian, he's pro-gun, he's pro-America. Well, he must love the people. Well, you guys might remember he done that little serpent poem talking about, the snake and shit. He's like, you knew I was a snake, right? When you let me in, right? He was telling you about himself when he did that, right? But people don't listen, so. Wang made the remarks on the sidelines of the Foreign Ministers' Meeting Association of Southeast Asian Nations in Cambodia on Wednesday. The United States is violating China's sovereignty under the guise of democracy, he told reporters. And China's SC&M Wang Yi Speaker Pelosi visit to China-Taiwan region is an out-and-out farce. Irreversible historical trend of Taiwan's return to the motherland cannot be changed. Those who offend China will surely be punished. So there you have it, man. And re-education for those in Taiwan, because of there's been a lot of let's just say this, there's a lot of anti-China sentiment that's been pushed, and funded by countries outside of Taiwan. And China has made no qualms about it, that they would go to war over Taiwan. They see that as their country, right? One China. They would go to war with the United States if they ever interfered. If the United States ever got occupied in a large confrontation, that they would take Taiwan, and if the U.S. or anyone else ever tried to take Taiwan, that they would go to war with them as well. So they've made no qualms, ifs, ands, or buts about it, guys. Like, this is what it is. It's what it is, son. And I'm going to show you, well, before we get into, right here, before we get into the climate and shit like that, let's finish here. Taiwan turmoil prompts detours, delays for global shipping. China carrying out military exercises around Taiwan. And some LNG vessels are being rerouted and reducing speed. China's announcement of military drills around Taiwan and U.S. House Speaker Pelosi visits the island is creating ripple effects across global supply chains, prompting detours and delaying energy shipments. Gas suppliers are rerouting and reducing speed on some liquefied natural gas vessels currently en route to North Asia. According to people familiar with the matter, shipments to Taiwan and Japan this weekend will be affected, said the people who requested anonymity as the information isn't public. And remember, the fuel crisis, right? The United States petrodollar. Biden and Harris doing the 100% renewable shit. They're trying to collapse the dollar if you can't read the fucking writing or read the fucking room. That's what they're trying to do, okay? I told you guys that Trump represented Cyrus, right? King Cyrus or Nebuchadnezzar from the Bible. Because there's nothing new under the sun. These stories play out over and over and over again. They're very symbolic and allegorical and metaphorical. And not only do they play out in our own spiritual selves and in the collective consciousness, as well as astrologically in the heavens above, they actually play out, geographically and within our real life world, right? And people play those characters. I don't know if it's the spirit of these people reincarnated or just, they share similar aspects and archetypes as the people of, from history. Who knows, right? That would mean that, the people that were around in the time of Jesus are around now again, and that we've been born in many, many lifetimes, and that would, mean reincarnation is real. So, who knows with all that. But Cyrus, King Cyrus, who became the king of Babylon, right? And he ruled for 4 years, and in the 4th year, Babylon fell. And if you remember the Transition Integration Project, which I still have the document on my computer right now, I can pull it up and show you. Just like any good crisis, was the planned 2020 election, right? And 2 out of 3 scenarios had Trump losing. The 30,000 National Guard troops had occupied the Capitol. As the power was transferred, they used the National Guard because of posse comitatus. You can't use the military on United States citizens domestically. That's why he created Space Force to circumvent posse comitatus. That's why the 160,000 gallons of oil, they brought the Coast Guard, posse comitatus. Same thing, as well as the UN Disarmament Treaty. When a nation collapses, the National Guard is converted to UN peacekeepers. That's why Biden did the executive order that if there was a catastrophe or anything like that in the U.S., that UN peacekeepers would help us clean it up, because China has the #1 contribution of soldiers to the UN peacekeepers, in case you didn't know. So it's all very well orchestrated in a well-oiled machine. and the fall of the U.S. is imminent. It really is, or at least, and I would say that this, real life fire type of war scenario would be next year. But remember, October. I believe it's Mars retrograde or something like that, October. I've told you guys for years that I believe it will take place in October. So whether it's this one or next, we'll see, right? So we'll see. But that's been a prediction of mine for years and years now. So I hope I'm not right this year. But there you see shipping stresses and all of that. And it's, Japan. Why? Because Japan has 30,000 troops at their base, right? And the THAAD ballistic missile system, and is also developing their own fighter jets, and is an ally of the United States. And is one of the things that are holding back, the powers of the East, as well as South Korea. That's why the conflict point between South and North is intensifying, and another 30,000 troops and THAAD ballistic missile systems and fighter jets, same thing, man. Same thing. So, if you take out those two countries, the United States is butt-ass naked and wide open, for attack. And if the emergency alert system is fooled with, then nobody would be prepared. Nobody would see it coming, and I see a lot of signs that say we should at least be paying attention to these things. Don't live our lives in fear. Of course not. You never want to live your life in fear. But it is something to pay attention to, for sure. Matter of fact, where's it at here? I'm going to pull something else up and show you guys that they're also warning about power grid. Well, let's go here first. All right. I want to show you this first. We're going to look at the magnetic field. I've actually got images. I'll pull up the images first. I probably shouldn't do the video. I'll just pull up the images for you guys. That's what I'll do. And show you the shape of the magnetic field. We're like, literally, you can see over the left, this is over Canada, the magnetic field. Over the right, this is over Russia, the magnetic field. And you can see that the pull from magnetic north is intensifying over Siberia and Russia, leaving Canada. Right here, you see that we have two North Poles currently, two South Poles, and look how large the South Atlantic anomaly has gotten. This is negative polarity, so something of a negative polarity, like a neutron star, that would be equivalent to like a neutron bomb or nuclear bomb, just the same, as well as an asteroid impact would bring the same type of devastation. Tsunamis, radiation, the whole nine. But we can see it's intensified quite a bit, and this is the current magnetic state, right? We are literally closing in on that 40-degree point. You look right here. Here's the lines. This is the new North Pole, and this is where we're at. Right here to the left, this is where we're currently at in our movement, and this is the new North Pole where you see the little hand, right? We're like 50... 100 miles in there, somewhere in there. Right here is the trajectory of where we are from the 40-degree mark. Guys, I remember when we were 250 miles away. This thing has increased in speed, double and triple every couple of months for the last few years. You can see back here the line 2017, 2018, 2019. It moved the same amount in 100 years as it did in the last 10, and then moved the same amount in the last 2 as it did in the 10 before that, and has moved the same amount in the last year as it has in the 2 before that. So it's exponentially increasing in speed, and we're like 50 miles from that 40-degree point. We're right up on it. And that's where the magnetic field, scientifically, where magnetics break down and they reverse polarity. So when we hit that point, and the closer we get to that point, which we're damn near